welcome back to NFL Talking Points. I am your host, Joseph Gardner, and today we will be going over our Week 3 results, what happened in Week 3, as well as going quickly over our updated NFL Power Rankings. I've combined my updated Power Rankings with those of Matthew R. Scott of the Matthew R. Scott Sports Show. For the preview show, previewing Week 4, go check out Matthew R. Scott's Sports Show on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. That is an audio only at this point. Go check that out. We've got a ton of really good points on that, and Matthew always does a good job with that. Let's move in straight to Packers at Browns. As you can see, I am wearing my Packers cap. This is, if you listen to the Matthew R. Scott Sports Show, every time I get on there, I wear my cheese hat. Every time the Packers win. This is my first week not wearing that cheese hat on that podcast, and this is a tough week to have that happen. I was expecting maybe Week 8 to be able to take that off, but it's just not how the NFL works. The other guys get paid to play, man. They get paid millions of dollars to play, and you can't take that for granted. The Browns defense is allowing under 250 yards in every game so far this year. The only other defenses to do that, one defense, the Packers defense. That's the only defense to hold all three of their opponents to under 250 yards. The Packers team had 14 penalties. It's the most they've had since 2010. So many things had to go wrong for the Packers to lose this game. And everyone who bet on this game knew that. So they betted for the Packers to win. And I think I saw something where it was one of the most profitable games for the house for Vegas ever, because no one was expecting this Browns team to win. This Browns defense put up a fight. The Packers offensive line looked terrible. So somehow the Browns win. And I think this is exactly what the Packers team needed to be able to figure out, oh yeah, by the way, we play in a division or in a league full of professional athletes who are all playing at the highest of levels, getting paid millions and millions of dollars to be able to do this. That's part of being in the NFL. That's what makes NFL football so good, and why I like NFL football more than college football. And, some people like the flair of college football. They like the blowout. They like the close games every now and then when they happen. The thing with the NFL, at any given point, any team can win. And that's what happened this week, Packers at Browns. Next, after that, we've got the Colts and the Titans. Holy, this Colts team is so good. They are second in scoring, only behind the Ravens. The Lions are third. Of those three teams, I like the Colts defense the best of the three, especially above the Ravens. And sheesh, they've only punted one time in 3 games. It's the fewest by any team since 1940. This Colts team is really, really good. Quickly, I want to go over what happened at the end of the first half. The Titans are driving down the field to try to score before half. For some reason, Brian Callahan decided to keep the opening kickoff. They won the toss, decided to start with the ball. Cam Ward, on the third play of the game, throws a pick six. And just like that, not only are the Colts up by 7 points, but they get the ball at halftime. Now, knowing that, you're going into halftime, you're trying to drive down, you want to try to score, do something with the end of this second half, because you know the Colts are coming out, or at the end of this first half, because you know the Colts are coming out at the beginning of the second half. They get into possible field goal range. I believe it was a 62-yard field goal. But it's fourth down, 4th and 1, 4th and 2. And Titans can't decide what they want to do. Do they want to go for it? Do they want to kick this really long field goal? I don't know. Maybe not. So they start sending their field goal unit out. Then they decide, nope, we're going to go for it. So then they send their offense out. Colts are like, oh, shoot, maybe I don't know what we're doing at this point. So Colts call a timeout on defense. So Brian Callahan and the Titans have an entire timeout to figure out, okay, are we going for it or we're not going for it? They send their offense out there. And now they're like, oh, maybe actually, do we not go for it? Okay, timeout. Tennessee calls a timeout. So now there's back-to-back timeouts, one by the Colts, one by the Titans. The Titans just took a timeout to figure out, are we going to go for this or are we going to kick it? They send their kicking team out there, and then they still can't decide whether or not they want to kick it or go for it. They have a delay of game, puts them back another 5 yards. Now it's a 67-yard field goal, and now they decide to go for the field goal. He misses it, of course. It's a six, and the Colts are able to drive into field goal range and kick a field goal of their own, go up even more, and then get the ball at the second half. Brian Callahan is the problem in this offense with this team. I like the way Cam Ward is playing, even with the pick six that he had. Get Brian Callahan out of there, man. Quickly, Bengals at Vikings. Isaiah Rodgers had the best defensive game of all time, at least according to PFF. PFF gave him a perfect score of 99.9. It's the only perfect score that Pro Football Focus has ever given out. Isaiah Rodgers had a fumble, a forced fumble, returned for a touchdown, a pick six, and an additional forced fumble that someone else on his team recovered. In addition to multiple pass breakups, he carried that team to victory. The Bengals looked terrible. Jake Browning looked awful. This Vikings defense is the best in EPA per play by far. According to, based off of any other defense in the league, they are so good. The reason they're not ranked higher in our power rankings, which we'll get to at the end of the episode, is their offense, especially their quarterback situation, is just tough to figure out. Moving on to Steelers and Patriots. I picked the Patriots to win this game. I think that was a good pick still. The Patriots outgained the Steelers. They had over twice as many yards as the Steelers. They lost by a touchdown because they had 5 turnovers, 2 of which came within the 2-yard line. They were 2 yards away from scoring and had 2 turnovers on those plays. 3 different fumbles by 2 different running backs, none of which were their rookie running back, which they drafted. Why draft Henderson if you're not going to play him, dude? He was one of his pros coming out of college was that he never fumbles the ball, and then you're not playing him and you're playing these other guys who are fumbling the ball over and over again multiple times, once within the 2 on pretty much on the goal line fumbling it. I don't understand where this offense is at, why they're playing the way they are. They play the Panthers coming up, and if you want a review on or preview on what we think is going to happen in that game, check out the Matthew R. Scott Sports Show. Spoiler alert, the Panthers are looking better than the Patriots. Yikes. Moving on, we've got the Rams at Eagles. I picked the Rams in this game. I think I picked the better team in this game. Again, still got it wrong. This was one of my worst weeks on picks. I picked the Packers. That went wrong. I picked the Bengals. That went incredibly wrong. I picked the Patriots. That went wrong. I think I picked the right team there. I think I picked the Packers being the right team there. I picked the Rams. I think I picked the right team there too. They were up 26-7 in the third quarter, and two blocked field goals, one of which was returned for a touchdown, which wasn't necessary. The Eagles were winning. It gives the Eagles the cover. So for people who were betting on the Eagles to cover, that won them the game. Jalen Hurts actually played quarterback this week, not just fancy running back. The tush push is inevitable. It works every time. Of all of the tush pushes that have been ran this year, there was one that was called for a false start, and it was not against the Eagles. It was against the Saints. So fans are still upset at that. Eagles had 33 yards at halftime. 33 yards. And they came back because guess what? A.J. Brown, if you throw to him, he makes stuff happen. He's, a really good wide receiver. So maybe we should throw to A.J. Brown more. That's what a concept. Saquon was held to 18 carries for only 46 yards. The Rams knew coming into this game, look, you've got to beat us by passing. And up until middle third quarter, the Eagles were like, well, we want to win by running the ball. And then when they were down by 19 points, all of a sudden they're like, well, I guess maybe we should probably start throwing it to A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, two of one of the best wide receiver cores in the league. Like, maybe we should try that. And Jalen Hurts did what he needed to do. The Eagles special teams did what they needed to do, blocking 2 field goal kicks. Somehow the Eagles come up with a win. Rams really should be 3-0. I picked the Rams to win. I am upset that the Eagles won this game because they shouldn't have. But that's it. Moving on to the Jets at the Bucs. I told you to pick the Jets to cover. That was a good bet. I personally picked the Jets to win. That was a very terrible bet. They should probably not have even covered in this game. The only reason they did was off of another blocked field goal return for a touchdown. By the way, Packers also had a blocked field goal that turned into the game-winning field goal for the Browns. That was a kind of a theme for week 3. Mayfield, again, Baker Mayfield doing what he needs to do to get his team into a winning position, to get his team the points he needs to win the game. He's so good. The Jets are 0-3 and the Bucs are 3-0. This game was closer than that those records suggest. This Jets team is playing hard. I like the way that Aaron Glenn has this team playing. They've just played. They had an unfortunate special teams error in the Steelers. They played the Bills, who are probably one of the best teams. They're, if not the best team, one of the best teams in the league. And they played a close game against the Bucs, who are playing pretty well. Yeah, it's tough loss of the Jets. Tough loss for me for picking them, which was so stupid. You do not bet against the creamsicle Jets or the creamsicle Bucs, bro. The Bucs wearing those uniforms. Always bet on the Bucs to win in those uniforms. They look too good to lose. So, next I've got the Raiders at the Commanders. Ashton Genty has 101% of his yards coming after contact. So when I read that stat, I was like, how do you get 101% of your yards? So essentially, if you get hit in the backfield, 3 yards in the backfield, and then gain 4 yards, so essentially you gain 1 yard on the play, that is 400% of your yards coming after contact. That it is absolutely insane. Essentially, he's getting hit in the backfield over and over and over again and making the most of it. And the Raiders' offensive line is just so bad. Geno doesn't have time to throw. Ashton Genty can't pass block, so when he's in there, they know it's a run. It's just a really tough operation, I thought this Raiders team was going to be a lot better than they are playing at this point. The Commanders, on the other end, look pretty good. They're missing Jaden Daniels, and Marcus Mariota played phenomenally. The only other bright spot for the Raiders is Trey Tucker. They had the wide receiver went off for 3 passing touchdowns. That kind of crazy. That's going to be a huge fantasy pickup this week on the waiver wire. That said, Commanders looking pretty good with a backup quarterback. Either the Raiders are even worse than I think, or the Commanders are better than I think. I think it's probably a little bit of both. So next, I've got the Falcons playing the Panthers. Panthers at home. This Falcons team is interesting because they've outgained their opponents 101 by 111 yards. So between the 3 games that they've played, they've outgained their opponents by 111 yards. And yet they're 1-2. And they just went 0-30. The Falcons lost 0-30 against the Panthers. That's insane. At this point, Bryce Young is 3-1 against the Falcons. So Bryce Young has actually played the Falcons really well. And Michael Penix looked like Anthony Richardson out there, man. He could not hit the open guys. And when guys were not open, which was actually somewhat often, obviously he wasn't hitting those either. The Falcons also had 2 missed field goals, which is somewhat ironic because the Younghoe Koo did terrible, and then they brought in Parker Romo. He hits 5 for 5 in week 2, so they let Younghoe Koo go. They release Younghoe Koo. Romo, you're our guy, and then he goes 0 for 2 in week 3. I don't know what to do with that. How do you avoid that? Even if you had made them, it's 6-30. Yeah, still a blowout. Falcons, I don't know what to think of this team. They are statistically really good on offense and defense, and yet they just lost 0-30 to the Panthers. So I don't know. Moving on, we've got the Texans at the Jaguars. Texans are a couple turnovers away from being 2-1. I mean, they've had 2 fourth quarter fumbles that were in times when they could have gone up to win, and yet they're 3-0 or 0-3. The Texans are 0-3 and somewhat look like it. This offense is really bad. The opposing team has been held to 14 points, 20 points, and 17 points. This defense is playing really well, even with the turnovers that the Texans are giving up. Yikes. Stroud doesn't look good. This whole Texans offense doesn't look good at any aspect. And it's a shame because this Texans defense is playing really well. Jaguars won this game. They go to 2-1 to make the division a little bit more competitive against the Colts. Last year, the Jaguars had 9 turnovers through the entire year. At this point, 3 games in, the Jaguars have 9 turnovers in 3 games. So that matches last year's total. I really like Anthony Campanelli, who was the linebackers coach for the Packers last year. He was just hired as the defensive coordinator for the Jaguars this year. They've looked better. They've looked decent. They're getting turnovers, which is, I think, what is winning this Jaguars team games. That said, I don't think the Texans should be 0-3, but they're 0-3, and they don't necessarily look like that much better of a team. They should be 1-3, 1-2 feels rich. So, and that's where we're looking at. So, moving on, we've got the Broncos at the Chargers. A lot of people are really concerned about this Broncos team, and I just don't think that should be the case. They have played two really good teams in the Colts and the Chargers. And it feels weird saying, oh, well, the Colts are a really good team, but they are. They're playing really well. And if it wasn't for a kind of fluky leverage penalty, they'd be 2-1. And they played what is one of the best teams in the league in the Chargers to 3 points. They lost their passing game coordinator last year, who I thought was really good. I liked their passing game last year. He's now the Lions offensive coordinator, and the Lions offense is looking really, really good. So that might be kind of an underrated loss. That said, Sean Payton needs to go for it. In a situation where everyone, as soon as Sean Payton punted near the end of that game, everyone could see the final score in their head, 20-23, Broncos lose, Chargers win. You gotta grow some onions, man. Give your team a chance to actually win the game. And this Chargers team's good though. And the Broncos had a chance to win it. That said, Chargers are phenomenal. They lost Najee Harris to an Achilles injury. Looks like it's season injuring. It's a full Achilles tear, so that's awful. They have Omarion Hampton, who they drafted in the draft this last year. He should be playing. He should and he should be okay, considering they drafted him pretty high. I believe he was a first-round pick. So, that said, Broncos, a lot of people are freaking out because they're 1-2. They could pretty easily be 3-0. They should be 2-1 at the very least with that loss to the Colts. But that said, this Chargers team is really good. This Broncos team is really good. This division, I think, is going to come down to those two. And at this point, the Chargers are 3-0 against all three of their division opponents. They have a pretty decent lead at this thing. I would be shocked if the Broncos missed the playoffs, though. Next, we move on to the Saints at Seattle. Sam Darnold is the truth. Torrey Horton is good. This Seattle offense is looking really well put together, and their defense is even better. Like I said, the Saints had a false start on a 4th and 1. Tush push. You can't make it up. The false start that is called during the week is on the Saints, and there's even more footage now this week of even more false starts from the Eagles, and those don't get called, of course. So, moving on. I like all of the 4th down calls by the Saints. I think that the tush push, it was successful. If it's called like any other Eagles tush push, it's a successful first down and you're driving the ball down the field a little bit farther. The 4th down call that was a throw to Kamara. If Kamara runs like a receiver, that's a pretty good throw by Rattler. I think that's a first down, and Kamara turns around and starts backpedaling to the throw. And he's a running back, but he's a good receiving running back. You should expect him to be able to position his body to catch that. So, Kamara's a good running back just in general, but I like the Saints offense. They were in 3rd down a lot, and they converted a decent number of them. That said, this Seahawks defense is so good. They are really good. I really like the way that McDonald has them playing. Moving on to the Cowboys traveling to Chicago to play the Bears. This Cowboys defense is so bad. And you lost CeeDee Lamb in the first quarter. This is a tough loss for the Cowboys, mostly because you lost CeeDee Lamb to a high ankle sprain. He'll be out 2 to 4 weeks, it looks like. This is Caleb Williams' first game in the NFL without a sack. He has taken a sack in every other game. This is his first game without a sack. Looked really well, or played really well, looked really good. That said, this Cowboys defense is atrocious. The Giants put up like 40 points on this Cowboys team. So if I'm a Bears fan, if I'm a Bears fan, I'm getting my hopes up because that's what Bears fans do. If I'm an NFL fan who is looking at this Bears team, I'm not getting entirely optimistic about who this Bears team actually is. If anything, I'm more disappointed on how bad this Cowboys defense is. We'll see what the Bears look like throughout the rest of the season. You got to see more from Caleb Williams than him going up against a terrible Cowboys defense. Next, we got the 49ers traveling to San Francisco. Sorry, the Cardinals traveling to San Francisco to face the 49ers. I said that this game would be decided on whether Mac Jones or Brock Purdy plays. I said if Mac Jones plays, the Cardinals win. James Conner went out with a season-ending injury, the running back for the Cardinals. That changes things. Nick Bosa of the defensive edge for the 49ers is also going to be out for the season with an ACL injury. Both of those really tough injuries. Injuries are piling up for this 49ers team, and yet they're 3-0. I picked against Mac Jones, and I should have picked against Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray looked like the worst quarterback in this game. This was somewhat expected because the 49ers schedule has been somewhat milquetoast, and they go against the Jaguars this upcoming week. That said, this Cardinals team should not be 2-1. I don't expect them to last much longer in this division with the 49ers and Rams. Just too competitive. Next, we've got the Chiefs at the Giants. This was a Sunday Night Football game. First one since 2015 of 2-0-2 teams, or maybe it was 2005. Listen to my previous episode on that. Brian Daboll needs to be putting Jackson Dart in. I think if he had put him in the second half, even in the fourth quarter, this game is so much closer. Russell Wilson was flustered, especially in the red zone against this Chiefs defense. And it feels like the Chiefs and Giants played a closer game than what the score said. That said, the Chiefs did completely outplay the Giants. Russell Wilson didn't look good. From reports, it looks like Jackson Dart is starting against the Chargers next week. I don't think that's a good idea. I think you wait until the Saints game the week after to put Dart in, give him a little bit more of a runway. But that said, Chiefs connected on some deep throws, which is really good to see from this Chiefs team. I think that's the way that they've got to get back to that. Neither of these teams look great, but I completely think the Chiefs need to be 1-2 and the Giants are 0-3. That's just what these teams look like. So, ended up working out the way that I think it was supposed to. I picked the Giants in this one because I thought that, and again, one of my worst weeks of picks that I've had in ages, probably forever. This is the worst. This is the worst week that I've ever had picking. I think I got 5 right. So tough week. Moving on, Monday Night Football, one of the games of the week, the Lions going to Baltimore to face the Ravens. Pretty much everyone picked the Ravens with this game, mainly because it was at home. This Ravens defense is bad. It's not good. Derrick Henry with another fourth quarter fumble that pretty much sealed this game for the Lions. This Lions offense is really good, and it's confusing because I don't know. The Commanders have played 2 phenomenal games outside of the Packers game. The Lions have played 2 phenomenal games outside of the Packers game, and the Packers have played 2 phenomenal games outside of the Browns game. What? I don't know what to make of these NFC teams at this point. Specifically the Packers. I don't know. Maybe that was just a bad game. Maybe the Lions was just a bad game for the Lions, and they're way more competitive. It's going to be interesting to see the Lions and Packers face off in Ford Field later in the year. That said, this Lions team is the real deal. They're playing well. That leads us into our power rankings. The Lions, we've got at 3. I'm just going to go through these and give you a couple pointers on where Matthew and I had these ranked. With our combined rankings, we've got the Bills, Chargers, Lions, Eagles, 1, 2, 3, 4, Packers, Bucs, Ravens, Colts, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's our first quadrant here. Second quadrant, we've got Rams, Chiefs, Commanders, Seahawks, 49ers, Vikings, Broncos, Steelers. Steelers are at 16, right there in the middle of the pack. 17 through 24, we've got the Jaguars, Bears, Cardinals, Cowboys, Texans, Falcons, Panthers, Patriots. Panthers are up quite a bit. Falcons are ahead of them right now by 1 spot, even after losing 0-30, but we've just got to see it a little bit more consistently from the Panthers. I had the Panthers at 23. Matthew had the Panthers at 23. He had the Falcons at 24, and I had the Falcons at 21. So you could probably flip-flop those two. I wouldn't be I wouldn't be upset. So last tier, we've got the Bengals, Raiders, Browns, Jets, Dolphins, Giants, Saints, and Titans. Titans being the last place team. We both had the Saints and Titans 31-32. We had them switched. I had Saints Titans at 31-32. He had Titans Saints, but I mean that could go either way. They're both pretty terrible teams. A few discrepancies here. He had the Bills in first. I had the Bills in second. I have the Eagles in first. I hate that though. They haven't played good football. They played 1.5 quarters of good football in order to beat the Rams somehow. But they're the Super Bowl champs, and they feel inevitable until they lose. I don't know if I can take them out of the first spot. So, that said, he had the Eagles down at 7. So somewhere in the middle, 4 actually feels about right. He had the Chargers at 2. I had the Chargers at 4. Honestly, Eagles and Chargers are pretty much just flipped for us, and that's fair. Chargers coming at 2, Lions at 3. We both had the Colts coming up pretty near 8. I've got the Colts at 8. He's got the Colts at 9. I've got the Rams at 9. He's got the Rams at 8. Both of those teams, 9 and 8, we've got them flipped. So that could go either way. That said, they play each other coming up in week 4. And I think that game will help us get a little bit more clarity on where these teams stand in this power rankings. Go check out our preview for that game. I have a lot of stuff to say on that game. That's a really fun game this week. So, couple other things. He's got the Broncos a little bit higher than I do. He's got San Francisco a little bit higher than I do. I've got the Seahawks higher than he does. Steelers all the way across the board, 16. That's where we've got the Steelers at. He's got the Bears lower. I last week had the Bears, I think, at 31. Obviously, that was way too low. That said, I like where he's got the Bears at 21. I think they should be lower. That said, they end up at 18 because I've got them at 17. So, lastly, the Browns. He's got a little bit higher than me. I've got the Browns at 27. He's got them at 25. I like that. I like the Browns being above the Raiders and Bengals, honestly. Their defense is phenomenal. That's such a good defense. The only other defense besides the Packers to hold teams to 250 yards or less in all 3 games. So that's our power rankings. If you have any comments on that, make sure to comment down below. Let us know what we got wrong. Let us know what we got right. And, of course, check out the Matthew R. Scott Sports Show for our Week 4 preview show that we do together. Lots of good information that you'll get from that. Besides that, thank you all for joining me. Happy to have you here on NFL Talking Points, and I will see you next time.